Welcome everybody to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. Joined as always by co-host extraordinaire. You can find him on Twitter, Bryan, at Mediocre Ace. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. As a Union Omaha supporter today, it's been a crazy one, that's for sure.
It has been a crazy day for Union Omaha fans, that's for sure. I love when we have the special guests on the show because when we first welcomed them into the backstage area of the digital program here, we always have these fun conversations before we get going, and then we realize, oh crap, we haven't even hit record yet. So we've already started having fun. We've had almost 15 minutes of conversations backstage. We're going to carry that over to this episode here and now. Joining us tonight is Northern Colorado's head coach and technical director, Eamon Zayed. How are you, man?
I am great. I am great. It's been a long time coming. I think I was meant to jump on this podcast. I think it was in the lead up to the playoffs, or probably before the season even ended. So it didn't happen then. So delighted to finally get on and discuss whatever you throw at me. New season, last season, player signings, all that kind of stuff. So look, delighted to be on the podcast and excited for the questions and the discussion.
Awesome. Well, we have a ton of stuff to get to tonight. Before we do, as we always do, and we've missed the past couple episodes, what are you all drinking tonight?
Oh, do you want me to start? I'm
Yeah, coach, go ahead.
as boring as can be. Not too adventurous tonight. I do actually have a big Irish whiskey collection beside me that I do like to sip on a lot, especially when times get a little bit stressful during the season after a loss. But tonight it's just it's Irish tea. It's
There
just
you go.
plain old Irish tea.
Okay.
Yeah, Irish breakfast tea.
That's the
Very
good
nice.
stuff. I have that every morning. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, what you got?
I'm finally cracking into the spotted cow that you brought for me before you
Yeah.
before you went down to Tormenta. So that's been sitting in my garage fridge for a little bit. So cracking
Is
into
it
it.
Spotted Cow, Wisconsin? Is that Madison up towards that way?
It is.
Yep. hmm
Yeah, the first time I had it was, I think it was last year or the year before when we were, I think it might be after a game. Somebody introduced me to that Spotted Cow. It was actually good stuff.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it's not bad at all.
They have it at Bree Stevens Field. So next time you play away to Madison, you should get somebody to sneak a beverage for you.
Absolutely. If they'll allow me after the game, depending on the result, we'll see.
I am going with Glendronach 12 tonight.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah. I don't have any fancy glass to put it into. I'm just drinking it out of a simple coffee mug, but whatever. I'm still
I,
going to drink
I,
it
I
and
actually
enjoy
thought you were going to say you're drinking it out of the bottle, and I was going to say fair play.
it. Well, let me jump into our outline here. So you have an extensive background playing all over the world. You've played mostly like a bunch of clubs there in the UK, but then you went straight from Northern Ireland to Iran. How did you make that transition?
Um, so when was that? So the end of 2011, I probably had my individual standout year in Ireland. I got voted Players Player of the Year, and got the Golden Boot Award. And on the back of that, I had a bit of interest from various clubs in various different countries. I remember, I think it was our season finished, similar to USL League One, our season finished November time of 2011. And straight after the season, I got a Facebook message, believe it or not, from a random agent. His profile picture wasn't even him. And basically asked me would I like to go to I'm going to try and keep this story short because sometimes I go on, but he asked me if I'd like to go to Brunei over in the Borneo Island for a week's trial. So I said, I wasn't sure if he's bluffing or not. I called his bluff and said, all right, well, send me the flight ticket and I'll go. And next thing I get the flight ticket and seems legit enough. So jump on a flight to Brunei. There was actually an Irish player playing over there for the same team. The Prince of Brunei owned this team. So I was over there for the week. Listen, I'm not going to go into it because that's another story. Didn't enjoy it. Went back to Ireland and still didn't know the agent. But listen, he had got me over to Brunei for the week, and transportation, flights, accommodation, all that kind of stuff was legit and it was looked after. So he then asked me would I like to go to Iran, and initially I was like, Iran, all I know about Iran is what I see in, and obviously the social media and the news, and it's never really good if we're being honest. So initially I didn't even think twice about it, and 3 weeks later he asked me again, and it was at that point where I rang it was an Irish embassy over in Iran. I rang them. I said, listen, first and foremost, what's the country like? And they said, listen, Eamon, forget what you read, you listen to, you watch. It's a safe country. They love their soccer over there. The team that you'll be playing for is the biggest team in Iran. So all that kind of stuff you'll enjoy. The side of it that you might see in the news is it's not daily life. That's just the government aside. So that kind of put my mind at ease, and I flew over Christmas, a few days before Christmas Eve, signed a contract, and that was that. It was only a short-term deal, so it wasn't too scary because I knew it was only going to be for the 6 months. And financially, it was lucrative at the time. And probably one of the best decisions I ever made, because I absolutely loved my time over in Iran. Really did. And again, I'll attest, the people are lovely. They really are. I mean, they are soccer obsessed. Playing in front of packed out stadiums. You're going around like you are going. It was surreal to me. Like, I had played for clubs, but none that would recognize you everywhere you go. But this playing for Persepolis over in Iran, that's how it was like. So I loved it. The football was great. Fans are great, stadiums are great. I got to experience a different culture, a culture that not many people would probably go over and experience. So I think it definitely helped. I definitely enjoyed it, and I think I love going into different cultures, different football, soccer philosophies, and learning all of different coaches and how they approach the game. So it was great. Yeah, I loved it.
You loved it and they treated you well, but
Mm.
did the media ever hail you as most handsome like you just were?
Do you know what? That is probably one of the best awards I've got recently. It's definitely, I feel like it's definitely better than the Coach of the Month awards last year. Being voted the most handsome. I will accept that gladly and happily. Don't know who did it. I don't know if it was him, his wife, a mixture of people. I'm not quite sure, but I'll take it. Because there's some handsome coaches in USL League One. So
Yeah.
I'll happily accept it. Yeah.
So shout out to Luke Martin who did that write up. If you have not gone to check that out, go to Stormwatch 912 blogspot. He's got it up there, and he has the rankings in his latest article. Now, if you were to think of the coaches in League One,
Mhm.
who are you proudest to have beaten in that list?
Um, I don't want to. It's hard to pinpoint anybody, right? But do you know what? A coach that I actually get on with. I get on with other coaches, but one that I probably get on a lot with is Matt over in Madison. Listen, he's a good-looking bloke. He's like that kind of Jason. What's his name? The Aquaman. I don't know his second name.
Oh, Momoa.
That's it. He's like that kind of mold. Listen, he's about 6'7", Matt is. So delighted to get one over on Matt. John Harkes would have been up there, but he stepped away. To be fair to him, probably would have been up there. So I'd say Matt. Delighted I beat Matt now, because I'll see him. I'll see him soon, and I'll definitely bring it up.
That's cool. Well, you won the hearts of people in Iran. You won the hearts of League One uh, bloggers, and you've also won the heart of your fiance. Congratulations on getting engaged January 1st.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I told her I was coming on the podcast, and she wanted me to bring it up. But I'm actually happy that you guys brought it up and I didn't have to. No, look, we've been together over 3.5 years. Shanna, I'm lucky to have her. So delighted that got down on one knee, start the year right. She said yes, and now we have a wedding to plan. So looking forward to it.
That's cool. I saw the pictures that you posted on Instagram, and the place you did it was back in Ireland, and that's
Mm.
just a picturesque area to do it. Like, just absolutely perfect place. So kudos to you for picking that place.
Yeah, Periscourt. It's up the road. It means a lot to me, and it's actually me and my mom's favorite place. But randomly, we like to go up there when I'm back, and grab a bit of lunch and go for a walk. The gardens, I like the botanical gardens; they're beautiful. So it was the perfect spot.
Nice. Well, I'm hogging a bunch of the questions. I'm going to throw it over to Bryan so he can get some in too.
No, yeah, you're totally good. So talking just a little bit going back to your time in Iran. Um, so you were known and named as quote Mr. Hat Trick while playing for the club back in 2012. You scored a hat trick in the last 10 minutes of your first match to win it for the club, down a man. Talk a little bit about if you went back today, do you think they would remember you as Mr. Hat Trick?
They, yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, listen, I was over in Italy recently. So after obviously I proposed, I went over to Italy with the fiance, and somebody recognized me over there, an Iranian supporter. Listen, occasionally it happens, and she always kind of gives me the side eye. Actually, before I went back to Ireland, we were down in Denver actually, and some security guard chased me out of the hotel, and I'm thinking, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? And he said, "Are you Eamon?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Listen, I'm Iranian. I'm a Persepolis fan. Can I get a picture with you?" And she was kind of just standing beside me, going, "Oh, here we are," you know. And that was my story for the rest of the week to everybody that I met. So no, like they would, yeah, they do. Like, I mean, I get a lot of messages, especially around, obviously that game was a big derby between Persepolis and Esteghlal, and obviously it happens twice a year in the season. So anytime that it happens, I sometimes, actually the last time it happened a couple of months ago, I jumped on and did a pre-match interview before the game live on TV. So I imagine, yeah, some people would remember me. And Mr. Hattrick's not a bad name. I'll take it.
And speaking of some of the uh, pregame commentary, you did some baseball commentary with, oh, yeah, your assistant coach. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Colin Falvey, yeah.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. You two were absolutely hilarious up in the box. Like, how often are we going to be able to get you in those kind of situations again in the future?
Listen, I'm glad it went. I mean, people seem to think it went well. I felt like we were getting stitched up and we were getting punked because I listen, the Owls obviously that play in not the Omaha Owls, the Owls that play here, obviously the baseball team. Look, I'll go and try to support them the best I can and watch a game. I do not have a clue what's going on. I don't. And it seems like Colin doesn't either, even though he pretends he does. So when they asked us kind of spur the moment to do it, I was like, all right, we'll give it a go. But yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know what's going on. I don't. I mean, there was a lot of movements from players that were throwing me off. Um, you know, so yeah, it was fun. It was fun. They've asked me and Colin to potentially do it again. So we'll see. We'll see. It was fun. Listen, anything like that, we're always up for a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter, and yeah, it was fun.
I think my favorite line that you said in it was that one of the umpires looked like a security guard, and that you two had had some scraps outside a bar in the past or something like that. It was some notion like that. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll do it again. We'll see.
Well, I know quite a few people who would love to watch that, myself included. Um, so taking it back a little bit to your playing career, you played at Indy 11 until the 2018 season, the Charlotte Independence for the 28 season or the 18 season, and Chattanooga Red Wolves for their inaugural season in 2019. So I got to ask you, is it weird to coach against some of the teams that you used to play for?
Um, I'll be playing against Mike at Charlotte the first year was definitely a bit odd. Because as I said, he was my coach. So that was a bit odd. Playing against Chattanooga, especially going down there against Jimmy Ableda, who, I mean, he I guess he was my coach in 2020, but I was injured, so I really didn't spend much time on the training field because I got a bad back injury, and then it was COVID, so I didn't really have any. I didn't play a competitive game for him. But again, it was still a bit, a little bit weird going down and playing there. I mean, I'm definitely used to it by now, but initially it was a bit strange. But I'll be honest, I also loved it. Like I loved competing. I love competing against Mike. I think Mike's a fantastic coach, and I really enjoy playing for him. And he always seems to just produce year in, year out with Charlotte. So I enjoy kind of competing against them. And the same against Chattanooga, obviously, as well. You know, it was a club that, I'll be honest, I wanted to beat. I always want to beat them, for different reasons that I don't know if we have time to go into, but it was enjoyable to play against them. Stepping from playing to coaching, it was something that I always had in my mind, probably ever since you said when I came over to the States and played for Indy 11. It was kind of then when I really, I was 31, 32. I'd finished my UEFA D, UEFA C license, and it was kind of when I went to Indy 11. I was working under Tim Hankinson, who obviously he passed away not that long ago. Fantastic man, fantastic coach, and he was a mentor and father figure in a way for me. And he brought me over to the States. So when I was playing with under him, I was doing my my UEFA B license, and I'd always speak to him about coaching. And when I left Indy in 2018 and obviously went to Charlotte, at the end of that year in Charlotte, Tim Hankinson had taken over. USL League One was a brand new league, and we didn't know what to expect, to be honest, in USL League One. So he approached me and said, listen, he knew I was doing my UEFA A license, and he thought, would you come in and be a player coach? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And for me, that was my, I guess, opportunity to continue playing, because I still wanted to play. I still got that buzz when you scored a goal. But I knew that it wasn't going to last forever. So I was kind of mentally preparing when I went to Chattanooga to step away from playing into coaching. I was prepared for it then, and still felt I wasn't sure when I did step into coaching how I would feel watching it from the sideline, because at times you feel, I guess, a little bit helpless. There's just chance going across the box, and you're like, I wish I was there to kind of put it away, or whatever the case is. But it's been fantastic. Really, honestly, I've loved every moment of it, stepping away from playing into coaching, and I do still get that. It's a different type of satisfaction from competing and winning than you did get playing. But I feel like it's still on the same level of satisfaction.
Well, that transition into being a head coach has been pretty smooth from our perspective, because even just this season alone, you were coach of the month in May and September. You were a finalist for coach of the year. So when you went into the 2023 season, you said in previous interviews that you had already seen something special in Trevor Amon and Arthur Rogers, and that you were designing your offense to suit their capabilities, their strengths. How are you able to change so much about the way that your club was operating, and what kind of opportunities are you trying to open for your players this season with that same kind of mindset?
Okay, so 2023, if I could kind of, I won't spend too much long going through, obviously, 23 to 22, but 22 was putting the roster together. I felt we put a really good roster together in 2022 in our inaugural season. And I knew that we had a lot of core players there that were of a top level. Arthur Rogers being one of them, Irvin Para, Rob Cornwall, Breck Evans. Like there's numerous players that I felt were on a really high level that could definitely compete in USL League One and perhaps play at a higher level. So really happy with what I had in 2022. And I'm not a coach to make excuses. This might sound like it is an excuse, but listen, there was hurdles in that first season. We played in 3 different home stadiums, didn't have a training facility until July. And then you have a brand new squad. We had a turnover. A goalkeeper coach came in, then he left, and we had to bring in somebody new. So there's a lot of hurdles that first year, as any kind of inaugural brand new club faces when I guess they first step into the league. So I thought it was an achievement. So we finished obviously 7th. We finished the same amount of points as Charlotte in that 2022 season. And I think we were 9 points off Richmond, who finished on 51 points. So I knew we weren't miles off it. And I knew we were as good as Tormenta went on. And listen, they won the 2022 championship. I knew we were as good as them because we had played against them and beaten them. So I knew we were on the right track. Listen, I'm going to say it now because it still kind of pisses me off a little bit. The criteria, the differential of most wins in 2022 over goal difference or head to head, which is the norm, I guess. That really kind of pissed me off in 2022 because I did feel we deserved to be there. But anyway, because honestly, that's the difference of making the playoffs. You feel like what a first season, fantastic first season, to not making the playoffs and it's over most wins or whatever it was. It feels kind of you're defeated and deflated. But I knew we had the nucleus going into 2023. So I think we kept 12, 13 players going into that 2023 season. Kept the core group of players because I knew they were good enough. And we wanted to add strength. We identified areas that we needed to add strength. Goalkeeping was one position, which we did with Lalo. We needed another fullback, which we did with Lucky O'Power. And obviously Bruno Rendon was really pleasant surprise when he came in as well. Enoch Kwakwa in that kind of 6 role, Jackson Dietrich in that 8 role. And then, we added in some really, for me, top quality player. Billy King is a phenomenal player. Noah Powder came in later in the season, who was really fantastic for us to end the season. So we knew we had quality. And you go into a season. I don't know if every coach goes into a season like this, but I went into 2023 season knowing that I had a good team. And how good, you're not quite sure because it's USL League One and there's such a turnover of players. You're never quite sure until you're there in preseason. And then you start the season and then you see what they're about, because it's not just the quality of the player, it's the character of the player. And when you go away and when you're tested and you lose games and all this kind of stuff, how they react, and then how they are when they form together as a team in preseason. Do they gel together and become that strong team? So I wasn't sure how good we were going to be, but I knew we were going to be good and we were going to be one of the better teams. I felt strongly about that. We can talk about 2023 all day long. It was a good season. I was happy with a lot of it. There was a point in time, probably somewhere in the summer, where we were catching up in games, but we were still kind of near the top of the league, and we are 12 games unbeaten. And there was a point where, I looked at the team thinking, are we the best team in the league? And then we lost 2 in a row, back to back on the road against North Carolina and Charlotte. And initially I put it down to we were lethargic. We were tired. We looked tired in those games. I had no excuses. We just looked tired and we got beat. But then we came home and we played Lexington and we were 3-1 up, and 65 minutes gone. And I was thinking, all right, well, we needed that 3 points to kind of get back on track. And ended up losing the game. Juff had himself a game, and listen, he was phenomenal on the night and really caused us issues. And we lost 4-3, and then we go and play Omaha and we lose. I think that was the next game. We lost 3-2, and 2 penalty decisions that, listen, it is what it is. We lost the game, and you're 4 games in a row where you've lost. I've never lost 4 games as a player, let alone as a coach. So you're tested, and it was at that time where, again, you're thinking, well, how do we get out of the slump? When are we going to get out of the slump? And we did. To be fair, the guys really pulled through, and they were fantastic. After we got out of that, we went back to the basics of being hard to beat, defensively being strong, being sound at the back, and then we went on another run. But by then it was a crazy league. It was too late. Omaha were 14 in a row, which is, I don't think we'll quite understand that achievement until maybe years to come. 14 in a row, to win 14 in a row, whatever, unbeaten, that's just outrageous. And then we were always kind of there back and forth with North Carolina, and I knew that perhaps that game in Colorado, when they came to us in September, might be the tiebreaker between finishing second and third. And we lost that game 2-0. And we were still trying and chasing. But look, 3 phenomenal teams last year. I thought the competition was extremely high. And at the start of 2023, I'll finish on this. Look, at the start of 2023, we set out a goal. We looked at the league and saw, I think it was North Texas in 2019 that got 56 points. And Richmond had got 51 points. Bear in mind, it was 2 games less in 2022. We said, look, 57 points is the goal. It's a new record, and felt fairly confident if we got 57 points, we'd win the league. And then kind of in September, I was thinking, maybe 60 will win the league. We got 62 when we finished third. So it was outrageous. It was fun, and a lot of positives, and we'll bring them into 2024 with the players that we're retaining and the players that we're bringing in. And naturally, again, it's USL League One. You're going to lose players, and we've lost some really top players that we're going to have to try and replace. And we'll do a good job of it, or we'll try to do a good job of it the best we can, and we'll give it another go.
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about your approach into the 2024 season, you don't have to name names, but do you have specific players in mind for a similar level of customization on, like Trevor Amon or Arthur Rogers?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I almost feel like, I mean, I'll answer that question, but I remember earlier, maybe it was September, we played Tormenta for the second time, and Ian Cameron made a comment after the game about. We made a comment. I don't know his words, but it was, well, we'll see how you are next year when you lose players. Because obviously they went through it in 2023, and it's difficult. Listen, it's difficult. I mean, we knew we were going to lose Trevor. We knew there was. I had loads of teams calling me about Trevor, loads of teams calling me about Arthur, and listen, teams were calling me about other players as well. So you identify, first and foremost, you look at USL League One and you think, well, who could replace them? Is there anybody out there that's shown the potential that could replace them? And you try to go after them. But listen, I'll be honest, this off season's been it's been a little bit different, because I think the USL Championship has absolutely raided USL League One. So, in previous years, it was maybe the top 5 players would be really attractive to USL Championship clubs. Now it's the top tier of players, and also maybe no disrespect to some of the players that have gone to USL Championship, but maybe those players that aren't the top at their position, but maybe second, third, fourth best in their position, they're also going to USL Championship. So, quickly, you draw up the list of option A, B, C, and before you know it, A and B are gone. And then you're looking at what else is around. You're looking at obviously further afield we've obviously looked at Europe and Africa and South America. We've looked everywhere, and we continue to look everywhere. And USL Championship, but a lot of it, I'll be honest, you speak to the guys, and again, I'm sure every coach will say this, you speak to your main targets, your option A, B, and C, you speak to them as soon as the season finishes, because you want to get your interest out there. And if it's USL League One players, and you want to go after, you want to make your team from third to first. That's the goal. You want to make them better, or at least the same. You don't want to, make them worse. And a lot of the players that I spoke to initially were like, look, I want to wait until, December time or January time to see, what USL Championship offers come my way. And that's fine. I get it. I'd probably be the same if I was a player. So you just have to kind of wait and see, and see what comes your way come, I guess, December or January. So to answer your question, look, it's been, how do you replace a Trevor who scored 28 goals altogether? Yeah, it's difficult. You'll try and we'll try, but it might be a case of, listen, it's not just one player that's going to help score 28 goals. It's going to have to be my front my front three players, my right-sided player, my left-sided player, my 10, my 9, they're all going to have to produce more goals. I can't just rely on that one player. It's not my style to. I didn't rely on Trevor last year. That's just the way it went. So we're going to have to add quality elsewhere in other positions, and I feel like we have. I don't even know how many we've announced. Maybe 12, 13. I don't know how many players we've announced. One of you might be able to tell me there. I know Rich is probably on his computer there looking at how many we've announced.
Yeah, we've got that, or we've got Rico in the chat from Linners and Woozers too. I'm sure he
right
knows.
now.
We have 16 announced.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. We haven't announced him. We haven't announced him. Okay. I think we have 19 signed, so maybe 16. Okay. Maybe we've announced 16. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, yeah.
And I mean, you brought back plenty of high quality veterans. You still have Irvin Parra, you still have Bruno Rendon, Marky Hernandez, Enoch Kwakwa, Billy King, Lalo Delgado, Jackson Dietrich. I mean, the list goes on and on. Breck Evans. But looking at the players that you have signed coming in as a new player for Hailstorm, which ones are you most excited for fans to watch? And which one do you think has the most potential to go off the way that Trevor Amon and Arthur Rogers did?
So I'm not going to pick out any one player. I'll go through all of them real quick. So look, okay, if I can, I love talking about my team, right? Because when I signed them, I really, I put a lot of attention into when I sign players, and not just the quality on the pitch, what they're like off the pitch and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I believe we have the best goalkeeper in the league, right? That's my opinion. He got 12 clean sheets last year, 12, 13 clean sheets last year. We conceded the least amount of goals in the league. How we didn't win goalkeeper of the year, I'm not quite sure, but that's my opinion. I'm sure some people out there share it. I think he's proved it, but I think he'll continue to prove it. He's a winner and he wants to win. We have Russell Shealy, who we signed as another keeper to challenge Lalo. He was one that came on my radar through Kevin Sawchak, my old assistant coach, who was the assistant coach at Crown Legacy. And he rang me straight away and said, listen, don't know if you're looking for a goalkeeper, but if you are, he's somebody that will push Lalo all the way. Perhaps take Lalo's spot. That was his words, but he hasn't worked with Lalo. So I'm excited to work with Russell. The two of them will push each other, and I do believe that we are one of the, if not the strongest in the league in that position, my opinion. Right back, obviously Bruno, you mentioned him, he's coming back. Listen, last year was a funny one because we had Arthur Rogers, who was right back and defender of the year in 2022. And then you had Bruno, who I knew Bruno's strongest position was right back. And I tried him further up the field on the right side to start the season. And Arthur switched between positions. But Bruno is the best right back in the league. It's not even for me. It's not even a doubt. That's again my opinion. I feel really strongly about that, and his ceiling is extremely high. He will just get better and better. You need to remember he came to me really with no coaching at all in his background, and he developed really from the very first day to obviously the end of the season. Just positionally, his touch, everything about him developed. So really excited to see how he is now a full right back season. For me, the best right back in the league. Lucky O'Para is a phenomenal left back, even though he's perhaps a right back, but he played on the left previously, so we stuck him on the left last year, and probably didn't see the best of him until kind of the summertime onwards. It took him a while to adapt. So he's coming back obviously for a full season, and he'll be ready to go from day one. So really excited to see him as well. So I think we're really strong in those areas. Centre back, look, we got Breck Evans, we got Johnny Fenwick, who we signed, and we announced David Garcia, pronounce his name right today as well. I think they're, look, do we play a back three? We two centre backs, which is what I usually like to play, but we'll have a look at that. But reason why I signed Johnny Fenwick was he came highly spoken of and regarded from Mark Briggs at Sacramento, who would be a coach I'd be close with. He rang me and said really good things about him. Nemanja Vukovic used to be the assistant coach of Tulsa, and he told me about him as well when he had him at Tulsa. So, and then he played with Lalo as well at Vegas. So, look, he's a leader. I knew Rob Cornwall was going to leave, and we needed that leadership presence at the back, somebody who was very, very vocal. And I know that's what Johnny Fenwick is going to bring. And listen, he wants to win a championship. I asked him why he wouldn't just stay in the USL Championship, and he said, "Listen, I could, but I want to try and win something. As my career gets a little bit older." So, excited to work with him. Look, I love Breck, so delighted to have Breck as well for another season. Phenomenal left-footed centre back. And then David was somebody that at the end of the year, he was a target for me from as soon as the season finished. I had earmarked him as one of the best centre backs in the league. And he was just kind of new to the league as well. He really just had half a season in the league. But within that half a season, from scouting North Carolina, we had played against him 3 times, and I just couldn't find any faults in his game as a centre back. And he was calm on the ball, and yeah, he would defensively he was strong, and I liked the idea of him getting up for set pieces as well. It's something that we put a lot of emphasis on set pieces. I think it's everybody in the league knows that nowadays. So, listen, I think he hurt us last year. I think 3 goals against us from set pieces. No, really excited to work with him. So really, I feel like any of those centre backs, a pairing or the 3 of them will be really, really strong. We have Enoch Kwakwa coming back, Jackson Dietrich, Danny Robles. We signed Patrick Langlois. I call him Paddy. I don't think he minds that. But he's born in San Diego, but lived all his life in Australia. And we found him through an ex-player that we know that was playing in Australia for Newcastle Jets that played alongside him, and said, look, he's an American passport. He's a no-brainer. I'd take him if I was coaching in the States. Colin Falvey tried to bring him to Sacramento for a couple of years when he was the assistant coach at Sacramento, and he was contracted over in Australia, so it didn't happen. So, delighted that, look, we'll bring him on, and he can play 6 or 8. So, he's somebody that I'm looking forward to working with. Then I'm trying to think, who do we have announced and who? Marky Hernandez obviously is back. Listen, Marky Hernandez, he's super sub. I think he's the best sub ever in USL League One. Now, he's not going to like me saying this because I challenged him last year. I said, look, you have this little super sub name, tag, whatever you want to call it. And it pisses him off. He hates being called super sub because he wants to play. And I know he's good enough to play. The problem with him was injuries and fitness, and that dogged his career at Chattanooga. So it was something that he really, really worked on from day one into preseason 2023. And I thought, again, from the halfway point, it started the season, but the halfway point on, especially, he became. It was like we have to play him. We can't. He's not just a super sub. And he ended up with really good numbers actually. And he always has good numbers in terms of assists and goals. He always does from the wide position. So I look to him to add again more goals and assists to his name this year. For me, Billy King's the best player in the league, best footballer in the league. My opinion, how he didn't get in team of the year is an absolute joke. It is an absolute joke. I don't know what. I know it's voted by coaches and other technical staff. But no, I'll put my hat in that. My head in the chopping block there. Absolute joke. He is a phenomenally talented player. Again, came in, struggled a little bit with the travel, but then kind of came into his own, and he picked up. Listen, I'll hold my hand up. He picked up an injury, nothing major, but niggles towards the end of August, and looking back, I should have just pulled him out for 2 weeks. And I think if I had done that, he would have probably came back stronger for the playoffs, because he wasn't fully 100%. But my thinking, honestly, this is how much I rate him, was I'd rather have an 80% Billy King playing, because he is that good. And I'm hoping that we'll see again another level to his game this year. Now that he knows the league, and will be ready to go from the start. Real Gil is an exciting player that we announced. Trinidad and Tobago international. So he was suggested to me, looked at him, liked his profile. Then I watched him against he played against the US national team, the second game of their two-legged Gold Cup game. He played as a 10. Now he's a winger, but he can play as a 10. But I watched him in that game. I liked what I saw, and spoke to Noah Powder, who was obviously his teammate, and said really good things about him. I know the switchbacks were looking at signing him, so I kind of, before they had a chance to kind of snap him up or decide, I kind of snapped him up and signed him, because he does fit the bill in terms of what I'm looking for. He's dynamic, has good pace, loves 1v1 wide play, but he does have decent end product. He can get on the end of things and score goals, which again is something that I hate. Wide play that ends in nothing. I hate it. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. You look at some wide players and they look good, but at the end of the season, when you look at their statistics and with their output, it's not good. And I hate when people build him up and go, "Oh, he's a good player," and he's not, because he's there to create and score. And if he doesn't do that, well, I'm not sure what he's doing in that wide forward position. So it's something that we need to add, obviously, with the loss of Trevor. So I think Real Gil will give us that. He's only 20 years of age, and I'm excited to work with him and help, again, coach and develop him. And then who else do we have announced?
If you want to slip any players you haven't announced yet, feel free to. This is your stage right here.
I'm not going to announce them, but there's two forwards that we haven't announced.
Okay, cool.
Do you know what? I take that back. There's three. Now, one of them, would you call him a forward, or it's up to you? But the other two are definitely forwards.
There you go.
So let me think. Two of them. One of them you'll have never heard of, but you'll do your research, and really excited, really excited to get him on board. The other one you'll know, he's been around a long time. You'll know him. And then the other one, you'll be familiar with him. So they'll definitely add these three players will add a lot of quality in terms of those four positions. But I'll tell you, one player that I'm he's familiar, but really excited to see, and could define how well we do this year, is Irvin Power. If you obviously take 2023 aside, obviously in 2022 he was our main man in terms of goals, and even at that, I said to him at the end of 2022, yeah, he did well, and I think he got maybe second team of the year or something like that, but he was, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 goals. He's much better than that. He knows himself. He should be getting 15 plus, because he can finish with his left foot, his right foot, his head. He's a great strike on him. So I was expecting, and I challenged him in 2023 to have a higher output. And obviously, look, you never know what life's going to throw at you. And he came into preseason last year flying. I mean, he really did. It was like a new energized Irvin. And he got, I think he got 3 goals in preseason before, obviously, the diagnosis. He's been out a year. We obviously, everybody knows at this stage what's kind of happened. He's been out obviously a long time, but he came in. He was in and out of training. It was kind of how he felt as the year went on. And Irvin's a fantastic teammate. The guys love him. So even him just showing up and just being around the guys love it. Really fantastic teammate, and he is a really great leader. And guys look up to him. Even more so what he went through. Then he got back. Obviously, he got the diagnosis that he was cancer-free, which was phenomenal. And I didn't expect to see him at all, to be honest, in terms of playing again competitively. But he came back and trained. He worked his balls off to be able to he was like, hey, coach, I'm fit. Coach, I'm ready. Listen, was he ready? Was he fit? No, he wasn't, but he felt he was. And he'd done everything to convince me he was. So obviously it was a perfect ending to that 2023 season for him to get that last kind of league play goal. And what a scrappy goal. It was actually perfect because it was everything that he went through this last year. He scrapped himself all the way to honestly through. He was honestly a hero, somebody to look up to, how he kind of went through his chemotherapy. And it was the scrappiest goal ever, but it just summed up the year that he had. And finally he went in and the ball over the line. And again, finally he was cancer free. So he is absolutely raring to go. Like, I mean, he is raring to go. I've never seen a player so excited. I mean, he feels like he's just, obviously he's wasted a year in terms of playing. So he is absolutely raring to go. He looks good. He looks fit. He's been working in the off season. I have no doubt about, the quality of the player and his ability. It was always just fitness wise and physically, are you going to get back? That was it. Because mentally he's probably stronger than ever. So he's raring to go. I watched the guys. There's a few guys up who've arrived into town, and they were just kicking the ball around in the dome, and they're doing some finishing left foot, right foot. And yeah, Irvin will definitely be back, and I'll be looking to him. I will be challenging him to get 15 plus goals. He knows that, and he's ready to go. So I think he's one of those players that I feel like, because he's been out for the last year, he's just going by everybody's radar. And maybe they're writing him off, because of what he's gone through. So he's one that will absolutely go all out to prove everybody wrong, and that he's back, and he'll be back. So really excited and looking forward to an Irvin Power in 2024.
That's exciting. That's awesome.
So yeah, Coach, we've got quite a bit of fan questions here. I know we're coming up on the hour mark, but I'll try to get through as many of these as we can. So let's see. So this one also from Rico, which you'll know from Winners and Woozers. He would like to ask you, which player do you think is going to go off this season, Northern Colorado or not, and have an extraordinary season?
Okay. I mean, listen, this league there's been some really interesting signings in the league. It really has. I mean, I feel like the league is every year just gets stronger and stronger. And names, if you want to call bigger names, but people who've stood out in higher leagues are coming to play USL League One. So it's it's going to be an exciting 2024. I think. Look, for me, again, I'm not going to single out anybody. I mean, I'm excited to see all my players. I'm excited to see a full season of fit of Lucky O'Para and Billy King and Real Gill. But listen, Irvin Power, I mentioned him. I'm really excited to see Irvin Power 2024. I think he will. I mean, listen, he already has a background, but I think he will go off in 2024. I really do. And then outside of NOCO, listen, you can't not but speak about, I guess, Lexington and what they're doing. And listen, I'm going to say this. I don't really give a shit. I'm going to say it. I'm not really stirring the pot. I'm just going to speak honesty. Their budget is outrageous this year. It's double a lot of teams. It is outrageous. And again, fair play to them, but what they're doing is they're putting that target on their back, and there's going to be a lot of expectancy from them this year. And I think recently one of my old mates put out the power rankings and had Lexington as number one. And listen, rightly so. I mean, the signings that they've made. So Darren Powell, obviously, he's gone all out. And I think, obviously, it's hard to not kind of look at that Cameron Lancaster signing and kind of look at it and go, whoa. And I say that because when I saw he was leaving Louisville, I reached out to his agent, and it was more of a dream and a hope that I could convince him to come here and fill the boots of Trevor Aman, because he's a striker that I've always liked watching. I've really loved watching them. You know, from my Indy 11 days when I left and Louisville just kind of went on this run in the USL Championship and got a couple of stars to their name. He was a driving force behind that, and I loved watching him as a striker and as a goal scorer. So he rang his agent, and his agent said I had a good chat. He was actually from Iran, believe it or not. And we were talking about the Iran derby and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, he told me the salary that he was on. He says, yeah, if you want to pay that, I mean, listen, it was. I don't want to talk about anybody's salaries right like that, but we can't afford it. Simple, we can't afford it. Yeah, obviously raised eyebrows. I'm sure everybody else in the league and other coaches kind of when they announced it last week. Yeah, we opened against Louisville as a start away to start the season, which is one I'm looking forward to. Obviously, but yeah, I mean, when you spend that much money on a team, you're gonna have a lot of expectation on your back, and they absolutely are favorites to win it. You know, maybe just like North Carolina last year when they kind of went out and splashed as well. Because I lost out 4 players to North Carolina that I tried to sign, but they went to North Carolina, and a couple of them was because of I just couldn't afford them. Again, I don't want to talk about budgets. All the best. I don't care what anybody else's budget is. I just worry about mine and what I can do and who I can bring in and try to create the best team. But yeah, Louisville, Cameron Lancaster, excited to see what he can do, not against us, but just see how he adapts to USL League One, and see how Darren and Lexington bring it all together, because you are expected to win the league. Everybody knows it and expects it, so we'll see.
Yep. And this is actually a question that also comes from Rico, and it harkens back to a comment that you made earlier in the interview, where you mentioned when you were first transitioning to a head coach and you were seeing some of those services into the box and you were wishing that you could have been on the other end of that. If you were on the receiving end of those Arthur Rogers services, do you think you'd be putting up Trevor Amon numbers? Do you think you'd be getting Golden Boot? Where would you wait?
Listen, I don't know. All I know is that I would, as a striker, I would have enjoyed being on the end of those crosses. Listen, Arthur's a phenomenally talented player. Right back, centre back, centre mid. He thinks his strongest position is centre back. Actually, I thought he was, top level right back. And listen, he filled in at 6 as well when needed. No, look, he's a talented boy and he's really intelligent. I think that was the big part of his game, is just his intelligence and his love for the game. He's obsessed. He's soccer obsessed, and he just wants to learn and get better every day. So yeah, we're going to miss his delivery. Of course we are. He's been fantastic for me. And look, delighted that he got a move that he was happy with. And I'm excited to see what he can do in the USL Championship with Tulsa, because he's absolutely USL Championship quality. I mean, it's not even a question. But yeah, I definitely would have got at least 10. Now 28, I'm not sure. To be fair to Trevor, Trevor, he worked his balls off, and he was able to create goals by himself at times. There was moments. I mean, there was one. It was kind of just a ball over the top against Omaha when I think we were 3-1 down or something like that. It was the first time we played against Omaha and we lost 3-2. I think Trevor got 2 goals. He was randomly or not, because he's not the tallest guy. He was just so good from corner kicks. Trevor was. He was just able to find the ball and find the space. He knew where it was coming. I got at least 5, I think, from set pieces last year, with just kind of finding that front post and glancing a header. And I think that was the first goal he got against Omaha. And then the other one was just a ball over the top. I don't even think it was meant for him. And, he chased it down and scored that second. So he was able to create stuff by himself as well, which he had the pace that I didn't. So I don't know how many he would have got, but probably not 28, but more than 10. So somewhere between that.
So I'll take it away from soccer here for a second with a question from Mushy Garcia, Zach here in Omaha. He would like to know, of your sweaters that you wear famously, do you have a
Mhm.
favorite brand?
A favorite brand for sure. Yeah, Aaron sweater. Aaron sweater is my favorite brand. The small island, Aran Islands. Well, they're the three islands off the coast of Galway, back home in Ireland. So they're famous for their Aran sweaters, woolly, wool knitted sweaters. So yeah. Now my favorite one, unfortunately, I actually got a replica of it when I was back in Ireland because I wore it in 2022 for the US Open Cup game against Real Salt Lake. I wore it, and then we played Omaha after. So I actually, I'm not blaming the loss on that, but I didn't, I'm not the most, I guess, you know, I put it in the wash, and I didn't know that you were meant to hand wash it, and then I put it in the dryer. So when it came out, it shrunk. So I couldn't wear it against Omaha, and I lost it. I actually gave it to my brother because he's a lot slimmer than me, so he has it now. But yeah, maybe that was the reason why we lost against Omaha. But anyway, Aaron sweaters are my favorite for sure.
So if anybody in the league wants to put a curse on you, just put a blockade on Aaron sweaters coming into the US for you.
Listen, I brought three back home with me from Ireland there recently, so I have enough to last me.
And your brother plays professionally too, doesn't he?
He did. He did when he back in Ireland. Then he went and got a scholarship to play and do a master's in Western University of Alabama. And now he's a coach. He coaches a U club down in Texas, Lone Star U Club. He's a director down there, so he's doing really well in the coaching as well.
Well, that's cool. So a follow-up question from Mushy Garcia. What have been your favorite challenges to overcome over the past 2 years?
Um, yeah, it was off the field issues. Off the field issues, I think it's been, obviously a brand new club and a brand new stadium, and especially the first year, just kind of getting over those hurdles of, again, first year not having a home stadium. That was the hardest, for sure. That was the hardest. We went in UNC for 4 games. We went in CSU for 4 games, 2 colleges in Colorado, and then we finally got a high school for 8 games. So, and it wasn't even ours. We had to borrow it. We couldn't train on it the day before a game. So that was kind of the difficulty, because I'm a big believer in consistency, routine, and we weren't able to do that the first year. So that was definitely kind of and there was loads of different things, in the first year, but more like operational things that would affect the team. So I'll tell you a funny story, if I can. I don't know how much longer we have, but anyway, so we went to Real Salt Lake, and again, the biggest game in our history. Our small history. It was only our fourth, fifth game or something like that. But we showed up to the Real Salt Lake, to the Salt Lake Airport, and the bus didn't arrive, and there was an issue. Listen, I'm not going to blame anybody. There was an issue with reserving a bus. So we were told, listen, there's no bus coming. So we're all sat there in the airport going, well, the guys are looking at me as obviously their leader, and I'm thinking, oh, what are we going to do here? So we went upstairs to, Budget or Hertz or one of those companies, and we rented 4 vans, and they weren't even like new vans. They were like old style vans. And I tried to make have a bit of crack with it, a bit of banter, a bit of fun with it. So we got in these 4 vans, got 4 players, myself and one of the players and 2 other coaches to drive them. Anyway, the day of the game, we arrived up to the Real Salt Lake Stadium, a lovely stadium. Honestly, it was really nice. We arrived up, and I was ahead of everybody in the vans, and I pulled up to a steward outside, and I said, listen, where do we park? Because I couldn't get to the front entrance. And he was like, yeah, just park in there, mate. It's just $10 on the way in. And I was like, $10? I was like, no, we're the team. And I kind of then looked around at the 4 vans, and he goes, you guys are the team? And I said, yeah, we're here to play Real Salt Lake. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, just up there. So yeah, I'll never forget that. That was a funny one. But like those little things happened in that first year that weren't ideal. But we got through it, and we stuck together. And actually, it probably created a bit more camaraderie, if anything. So, Yeah, that was definitely the first year was difficult to kind of get over those things and keep the guys just focused on being professional and winning.
So we've got a question here from somebody you may or may not know. Casey Katoski has a very serious question for you. Who is your favorite owner you've ever worked for, and who has the best shoe collection out of all of those owners?
I mean, I feel like I'm set up here. I feel like I have no choice at all. Listen, okay. The second part of that question is easy. Listen, I mean, Casey has an outrageous collection of shoes. I mean, to the point where Casey, he is a lovely brand new 3 or 4 bed house. I don't know how many rooms are in the house, but I know because he showed me one of the bedrooms. It's not a bedroom anymore. It is a shoe room. And it's not just a shoe room. They're like in these like see-through closets. I think he doesn't want air to get at them or dust or something like that. So no, he's outrageously into his shoe game. So 100% best shoe game, Casey. In terms of the ownership, look, I'll be honest, and people will be like, of course you're going to say that, Eamon. It's not. Listen, Casey and Jeff, first and foremost, gave me the opportunity and believed in me. And listen, I don't know how many coaches out there coaches, how many owners will go after an ex-player and give him his first kind of head coaching gig. They did. Jeff being Casey's dad, no, the two of them have been phenomenal to me from day one. Honestly, I really enjoy working with them. I enjoy working for them. It's not even for them. We work together. And it's at times we're all kind of singing off the same hymn sheet. And two of them had baseball backgrounds. Casey obviously was a high-level baseball player. And Jeff was again minor league baseball owner with the Owls in Orem before he came to Colorado. So it's funny. It's been really exciting, and I've enjoyed kind of seeing their transition from baseball people to soccer people. I don't know if they're fully transitioned, but they've really kind of taken to soccer and really become fans and supporters, not just owners. I mean, Casey's at every single game, and whenever Jeff's in town, he obviously comes to the games. But Jeff rings me every Monday after a weekend game, and we have proper discussions. It's not just an owner ringing you and you'll just appease them, and it's like really good insights onto the game and into the game. And no, they've been great. Really, really enjoyed working for them.
Nice. Well, we tried to fit in every single fan question. We apologize for the fans if we did not get to your questions. But Eamon, we want to send you a huge thank you for coming on the show tonight. This has been a really fun conversation.
I have one question for you before we go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, right? Here we go.
Yeah, obviously, we have Tormenta. You working for Tormenta, Rich?
Yep.
Yeah. Congrats. That's new,
Thank
isn't
you.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play to you. Okay. And then we obviously have an Omaha supporter. Big news today. Fair play. It looks like potentially championship in 2016-17, or we'll see. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Fantastic news. It's great to obviously see clubs. I mean, you want them to have their own stadium. So great news. Delighted when I saw that with Omaha. But I would like you guys to put you on the spot. Give us your prediction for Hailstorm in 2024. Where do we finish? Where do we finish in the league?
Oh, Bryan, you go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Bryan.
So I'm a huge fan of what you guys did last season. And it looks like with the roster that you're building now, you're kind of echoing that same attack first and high press style. So for me, I put you guys as one of the top 3 teams in the league sitting right now.
Rich?
Oh, I want to say top 3 as well. Why not? Like championship or bust, right? Go for it.
Absolutely, you have to, yeah. Okay. I'll take that. Listen, top 3, absolutely. I'll be honest. Every top 4, what is it? 8 playoff teams.
Yeah,
8 this year. Yep.
Yeah, top 4 is obviously the goal. You want to win it, but top 4 has to be the goal to host a playoff for everybody, I imagine. So I'll take it. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on too, Coach. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. I've enjoyed it, and maybe we'll do it again during the season.
Oh, we'd
Again,
love that.
yeah,
Anytime you want to come on the show, you have a
Open
open
invitation.
welcome.
Yep.
So yeah, open invitation. Come on whenever you want.
no, appreciate it, guys. And honestly, I mean, you guys are doing a really. I know Lee said it, and I actually really enjoyed the conversation with Lee O'Neill. I know obviously there was some questions you probably wanted to ask, and you perhaps couldn't. But look, Lee's doing a fantastic job in USL League One. I really do. I think he's doing fantastically well, and it's a growing league. It's an exciting league. But I always listen to your guys' conversations.
Wow, thank you.
Even the one with Dom. And Dom done like what a job he did last year. Again, fantastic coach, somebody that absolutely respect with the job he did. So enjoyed that interview too. So fair play to you. Look forward to
Man,
hearing more of them.
that's awesome. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate that encouragement there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of League One on the Rocks. We will have another interview lined up for next week, so keep tuning in. We are still continuing on with this hot streak of no off season. So that 2024 season is right around the corner. Keep tuning in for more, and we'll get you going.
Thanks,